So this is a tutorial how to do the dynamic debugging with IDA Pro. First thing you want to do is go into your debugger options. Set specific options. Note you should have the proper path to your ADB executable here. If you're using multiple devices, you typically need to fill this in. To see this information, you can do it quite simply by ADB devices command. This is the particular, if it's a physical device, the serial you'll want to input there. And if it's an emulator, you'll see something along the lines of emulator hyphen 5555 or 5556. This information you can also fill from the manifest. You can just select fill from manifest.xml file. A pop-up will come and you'll just point it to the particular APK file for IDA. You can also do it manually if you want a particular activity launch. And if you want manual things for the ADB shell AM start command. Note that this is only for launching activities. If you want to do with a particular intent, you can't, it's a little bit more complicated. We'll cover that later. And that's it. Hit OK. Okay, and then you're going to do debugger, start process. And you'll see a few things I have here. I'd recommend playing around with your Windows settings so you like it. This is your local. These will have all your local variables currently. It doesn't always work as you'd like. The best way that myself and some others have found, notably Chris, is using the watch view. So in this one, the blue indicated line indicates that I've set a breakpoint in this function com.qq.run. And it stopped right on this, move this value into constant 16. A few commands you should know. In your debugger ones, you have step into, step over, and then run until end of the return of the function and continue process. The Dalvik debugger is particularly finicky. One of the things you want to always keep in mind is this general register. If it's pointing to all F's, that means it's running in a different code space that you don't have access to. And you're going to need a breakpoint somewhere else along the execution and to catch that, essentially. I'll show you how to fix that state. So in this one here, a few commands you should know here. If I do this step into, which is F7, I will step into any functions. F8, step over, will step over them. So red indicates breakpoint. This Cylon is the current line. And I'm just using F8 currently. I'm stepping over all these particular values. Note, after this line was executed, the change in color for this watch view, because I'm watching this particular object V0. To create a watch view, I'll do a new one. I'm just going to right click in here, do add watch, and then there's various expressions you can do. What's worked best for me is I cast as an object, asterisk, and then whatever the particular value you want. So we'll do V0 in this case. Boom, and it's populated right down there. Now, watching certain watch points will cause the Dalvik debugger to crash. So it's kind of an exercise in futility at times. So only watch the ones you absolutely need. If it does crash, delete them and move forward. So now if I do F8 here, this is the difference where we'll see F7 versus F8. If I press F8, we'll step over this function call and end up into this iGetObject one. But I actually want to see what's going on. Also should be noted in IDA, you can comment easily by pressing the colon and semicolon commands. That's where I'm making these notes here. So if I press function F7, now this is one of those cases where, okay, what did I step into? Notice that the general register is listed as all FFFFFF here. So in this case, what I'm going to want to do is I can't see where I'm currently at. I'm going to do debugger continue process, and I've stopped on a breakpoint. Now this is actually in one of the functions I care about. So what I'll typically do is before I end up here, I can click this and this will take me to the method call or the function, and then I'll just set a breakpoint in that region, and that way I can catch myself. Okay, now look at this again. So I'm going to click in here. I'm going to do enable a breakpoint right here, just in the event we end up with that FFF issue again. Step into it. Oh, this time I'm good. Keep going. I'm going to step over this one because it's just a call to current system milliseconds. So this here, another example, it's calling this a.e.b method. I step into it, note that I have a breakpoint set. So let's try stepping into. I got a timeout. So in this case, you're going to have to terminate the process and restart it. And we're running again. So what I'm doing is I want to get back to right here. Now last time when I stepped into, I didn't the debugger didn't respond in time. So I'm just going to do I have a breakpoint set within this function right here. So what I'll be doing is debugger continue process, which will then stop on that breakpoint. Boom. So same issue here. Timed out while waiting for a reply. I'm going to now set another breakpoint a little bit farther down on this path and see if that fixes the issue. Another thing you can do when you get stuck in these kind of functions is you can do run until return, which runs until you get the method returns. Again, stepping over the call to system time. All right, moment of truth here, right? Boom, and we've stopped here. So when you get those JDB timeouts, play around with setting a breakpoint farther down on the code. So here's some interesting things where we can actually get values back. I'm going to continue this. So how this particular part of the sheet on binary works is there's a continuous call to this decryption function right here, this e.d method. And the result of this decryption is then returned and then stored in this v5 variable. And I've kind of just dynamically gone through and decrypted all of these. So if I step into this function here, here's all the wonderful things that are going on, and I've pasted some intermediate values here. But I'm going to step over all of this. Note how in the watch view in the lower right hand corner values are changing in the red highlighted text. The same pattern again, right? So here's where I am. We're going to see a call to this particular function, and I want to know what is being returned, right? So I step into this function, we can see that the value here is timestamp as a character array. So this one should change. So one of the things we could try is casting this guy, saying it can't evaluate it. Okay, now it just updated. Boom, we're good. Yeah, that's how you get values in IDIC Pro.